Welcome back to the channel. I'm Traben, and in today's video we'll be looking at one of my new favorite horror comics with Bunny Mask. Similar to my discussion of Six Crimson Cranes, this is going to be more of a study on writing monsters and writing villainous characters, and less of a straight review, although I am going to be centering that conversation around the book. One of the most difficult things to do in a fantasy setting is to dole out information to the reader without coming off as heavy-handed. The "as you know, Bob" trope is common because it provides an easy way to communicate information to the reader. What's even more difficult is crafting a world in which the supernatural or fantastical elements are mostly obscured from the characters and reader alike. There's a fine line in holding back information in a way that is satisfying instead of aggravating, but Bunny Mask walks that line very well. A lot about how the world works, particularly with the entities like Bunny Mask, their powers and relationships to one another, are meted out in tiny increments, often in ways that themselves are indirect. It creates a wonderful sense of mystery throughout the comic and helps establish the feeling of unease that permeates it. It's unsettling enough to know that Bunny Mask is out there, but even worse knowing there are other forces in this world that we don't have any concept of until they crash into the narrative. A villain who knows they're villainous and fully embraces their role is a concept that I've always been drawn to. Jean-Baptiste Zorg from The Fifth Element is a good example, as is Nicola from the Magnus Archives.
You killed Gregor Orsanov.
Yep. He got really boring, and I'm a monster. I mean, what do you want me to do? Not pull him apart?
I'm not talking about villains whose motives are relatable, because the aim there is to humanize them, nor am I talking about the trope of affable evil, though that sometimes bleeds over into what I'm describing here. Zorg and Nicola fully realize they are banes to humanity, but revel in the chaos they cause. Cosmic horror is another notion I find compelling. Beings that are beyond the comprehension of man and therefore freed from the confines of morality. These creatures do not bask in their misdeeds because they exist on a level of consciousness from which the very concept of human morality is alien. We do not think of the mentality of ants, after all. The issue with these cosmic supernatural threats is that they are rarely given voice in the stories in which they appear. Their motivations are alien, sure, but we rarely get a true sense of what that means because they are portrayed more as forces of nature, huge, horrendous piles of flesh whose geometry boggles the mind, but who ultimately come, inflict their brand of horror, and then are defeated or retreat into the ineffable aether from whence they came. Samara from The Ring does not have a friendly chat with her victims. She emerges from her cursed VHS, enacts her revenge, and is just as suddenly gone, waiting for the next hapless victim to play the tape and release her. But what if we did give the cosmic horror a voice? Bunny Mask is essentially a cosmic being that is given the form of a young woman. Her motivations are unclear, but what is clear is that she is powerful, dangerous, and almost comically enigmatic. I say almost because there is always a threat of power and darkness that is behind even the most amusing moments of the story. For example, in an effort to emotionally lift up a young girl who is being teased by her friend, Bunny Mask touches the girl's teeth. This is how she sees the future, by the way, and to avoid this, you have to go through some rather extreme measures to make it to where she can't divine the future. She then proceeds to tell the girl all about her life, and also the boy who's been teasing her is going to die in a traffic accident soon. She concludes by saying she knows the girl will feel better because, and I'm quoting here, "I am very good with children." Both the humor and horror of this scene originate from Bunny Mask's complete lack of empathy for those around her, her complete lack of understanding about the world of man with its pesky rules about boundaries and acceptable behavior. These in turn stem from her complete alienation from humanity. Bunny Mask's alien viewpoint persistently carries with it the threat of violence, not always malicious violence, but violence nonetheless. In his intro, Paul Tobin actually posits the question, what if the horror thought they were doing the right thing, and what if they actually were? And I think that this story, more than anything else I've read, really crafts an interesting monster because of this unique perspective that we get of this creature that is doing the right thing, but not in any way that is would be considered acceptable. So for an example of doing the right thing, at one point in one of the volumes, Bunny Mask takes out cancer from a patient, talks about how beautiful it is, and then goes, "Here, you can have some cancer, and you can have some cancer." It's weird. This character is so bizarre, and I love it so much. Other major thing that Tobin discusses in that intro is this connection between sensualism and danger, and how Bunny Mask was born out of that intersection. This is clear from Bunny Mask's character design. The black Bunny Mask, of course, has like some sexual connotations. I'm not sure if it's meant to go back to like the Playboy bunnies, or if this goes all the way back to the idea of like bunnies as a symbol of fertility. But with those darker themes of the book, one might also conjure up the image of the rabbit from Donnie Darko, a similarly enigmatic and alien force within that film. I also really like how this book tackles the ideas of aimlessness, purpose, and perception. These are all core concepts within the book. Bunny Mask can see into the sickness of others, the mask they put up to the world. Even though she is masked, she can see through the barriers that people put up. Tyler also develops the ability at some point to hear the sins of others, an ability that is presented as definitely a curse, definitely a burden, and not a boon. He does not want to gaze into the truth of those around him, just as we are all likely more happy without knowing that what dark thoughts lurk in the hearts of strangers. In the second volume, the antagonist is a being that can literally unmake someone from reality. He targets those already marginalized by society and whose absence would therefore not be as noticeable once all trace of their existence is gone. One of the core mysteries of the story is about identity. It's about who is B. Foster. So B. Foster is this character who Tyler meets as a younger child and then again as an adult, but he's confused when he comes across her as an adult because as a child she died. And so who is this other person? At this point he knows there's some weird cult business going on with her and surrounding her story. There's a lot of questions over how is this possible. If you're a fan of horror monsters, you would do well to pick up this series. I think it is one of the most interesting explorations of a monstrous character in modern day media. One of the most thoroughly developed monsters that I've read in recent years. If you are a fan of a good horror mystery where the terror, the fear lies in not knowing what is really going on, and the constant tension of this monstrous being who at any point could easily kill anyone around her. This is one of the stronger mystery-driven horrors that I've read in recent years as well. I love this book. This is a 5-star read from me. It's also a lesser-known one, much like the Kaiju Girl Caramelized video I did. And so I don't think a lot of eyes are on it, and that's a real shame because I think that the exploration of character and the exploration of these dark themes play out really well within the pages of the story. And that's going to do it for our look at the monster that is Bunny Mask. If you know of another story that hits on these same ideas of this monstrous being who we still get these personal reflections on, this enigmatic, crazy dialogue that permeates this story, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read more from this kind of subset of horror. If you'd like to check out some of my other videos, I'll put up some more of my Treasure Tomes videos up here. So definitely the one for Kaiju Girl Caramelized. That's another underrated, amazing story for a completely different reason. And then we'll put a second one down here. As always, I hope that your reading journey is going well. Please like, comment, and subscribe so we can build this corner of our YouTube community. And until the next one, take care.